Hey gang, what's going on? Hope you're having a great weekend. So, today's the final day of the MLB season 2023. What does that mean? Playoff baseball is here starting Tuesday. And again, no matter who your team is, if they're in the playoffs or not the playoffs, I know Yankee fans were disappointed because we're not in the playoffs, but that doesn't mean there's not a lot of good baseball that's going to happen because there is going to be a lot of good baseball in the postseason. So, with some new teams there and some existing teams. So, um, if you want to be kept up to date with all live reporting, all playoff, no matter what happens, no matter who your team is, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. I thank you for it. And obviously, if you're a Yankee fan and you want to be kept in the loop of everything that happens this offseason with the Yankees, trades, free agency, everything else, I will fill you on everything live time as it comes in with the Yankees and all free agent moves, no matter who your team is. So now let's get to the playoff bracket. Let's see who's playing who. Okay, here you got the top left. You got the Miami Marlins versus the Philadelphia Phillies. Okay, the two wild cards here. And again, this is essentially a team that's loaded with pitching on Miami's side, but they did have suffer. Sandy Alcantara has a sprained UCL, so you may need Tommy John. We don't know yet. And with that young pitching and the impact backs that GM Kim Eng brought in, is it going to be enough to withstand the star power and the veteran leadership of the Phillies? I don't know. Okay, this is going to be a close series. They're playing it in Philadelphia. And again, playing with Alcantara might hurt them. So I'm picking Philadelphia and the deeper roster overall to advance against the Atlanta Braves, who are going to be waiting for them. So I'm taking Philly in that series. Next up, you have the Arizona Diamondbacks versus the Milwaukee Brewers. And again, it's Milwaukee's pitching versus Arizona's young roster. And they got Zach Allen too, obviously, but the Milwaukee Brewers have a kind of a lineup of pitchers there, starting with Corbin Burnes. If you're looking at Corbin Burnes versus Zach Allen, that's a pretty significant matchup there. And everything starts Tuesday. So Milwaukee is all in all a deeper team overall. I still think Arizona is maybe a year away with they're going to be young dynamic roster, a lot of talent there, and I still think they're going to they need to do another round or so through trades and free agency, and I think they'll make a move or two this offseason. But at the end of the day, I'm picking Milwaukee to advance to face the LA Dodgers in the NLDS. So again, we have the Phillies facing the Braves, and then the Milwaukee Brewers facing the Dodgers in the NLDS in the divisional series round. And again, remember, these are three game rounds, so something to keep in mind. And I'll get back to that once I'm done. We'll get to the American League first. Now we get the Toronto Blue Jays facing the Tampa Rays in Tampa. Tampa being the home team, and they are a very, very tough team to beat. And with the litany of injuries they've had with pitching, and even losing Wander Franco to basically a baseball scandal, they're still a formidable squad, and they still have enough to beat the Toronto Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays have some really, really, really good, solid hitting overall, and some good, solid pitching too. So for everybody from Gausman and really, even at the back end, Kikuchi, you have a lot of pitchers there. And Berrios. Will it be enough to beat the Rays? And again, this is the East Division, essentially with the NL East. We have the AL East here. The winner of this team is going to face the Baltimore Orioles in the divisional round in LDS. So at the end of the day, I'm actually picking Toronto to advance against the Baltimore Orioles. I think that'll be a pretty exciting series with the Orioles roster and Orioles pitching versus Toronto's dynamic lineup. I think it'll be a slugfest there. So I'm picking Toronto to advance past the Rays against the Baltimore Orioles. And lastly, we got the Houston Astros versus the Minnesota Twins. This is another one. Okay, the Houston with Verlander now. They've added Verlander deadline. Essentially, Verlander versus Sonny Gray. So that'll be a pretty remarkable matchup on itself. Houston's got a little bit of a deeper lineup. Minnesota's got a little bit more of a dynamic lineup, and they have Carlos Correa, who's proven in the postseason. They've got a lot of young hitters here. And is Houston's window closing? The question that I want to ask. You let me know. Load up the comments one way or the other. But I think is Minnesota ready to move on? Because the last 5 or 6 postseasons they played, every single one of them was against the Yankees, and I don't even think they won a game. And I think these guys are chomping at the bit now. So at the end of the day, I'm pulling an upset here. I'm pulling the Twins to eliminate the Houston Astros, which would make me happy as a Yankee fan. Okay, and Twins are going to be advancing to play against the Texas Rangers in the divisional round in the American League. So again, we got the Blue Jays advancing against the Orioles, and we got the Twins advancing against Texas in the National League. The Brewers advancing to face the Dodgers, and the Phillies advancing to face the Braves. So all in all, it's going to be a pretty exciting postseason. And keep in mind too, these are 3-game series, these wildcard rounds. So a lot of times their number one and number two pitcher are going to be used. So they were not going to be available for the first couple of games of the division series. So whoever has a bye in this, the Dodgers and the Rangers and all these folks, the Braves and the Orioles, they could be at an advantage here because they could put up their number one and number two against other teams, number three and number fours. So, and they can use their number one and number two more than once. And the other teams might not be able to do that. So it has a built-in advantage to the team that's waiting with a bye. So it's something to keep in mind, just food for thought. But this is what makes playoff baseball so exciting, right? And let me know what your predictions are. Let me know if you think you're in line with mine, if you agree with them, you disagree, whatever. Let's get into it. Enjoy today. The Yankees play the Royals for the final game of the season at 3 o'clock today. We'll live stream it afterward. We'll do the post-game show like usual. We'll talk about it, and let's get ready for the postseason starting Tuesday. See y'all later.